Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. I, of course, am Dave. There's no Kirk or Andy with me today, but I do have Richard Patrick from the wonderful Filter. Hi, Richard. How are you today?
Fantastic.
Full of energy. I love it.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Things are good.
I have a whole series of questions for you. I have been sort of racking my brains and just sort of literally just brain dumping of thoughts and questions I have. So hopefully I've got them into some sort of coherent train of thought, and they make sense in the order that I've done them. But if they don't, we might do a little bit of back and forth. But I'm just going to go straight into it. So a lot of people, when they sort of ask you questions and stuff, go back to and start to talk to you about your early days of Nine Inch Nails, etc. But I want to go back even further. And the simplest question I want to know is why or how did you get into doing music in the first place?
I think it was just my dad had a stereo in 1974. He bought himself a big realistic Radio Shack stereo.
Yeah.
And he cranked Neil Diamond.
Okay.
And he literally he would play it at what he called concert hall volume. And he would crank, in like suburban, Ohio, Neil Diamond and like the Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and all this stuff. And music was just permeating through the air. Like it was just everywhere in my house. My brother had a stereo system. My sister Karen played acoustic guitar. It was just there. It was just ever present. And from the moment I heard an electric guitar, I was hooked. I was like, what is that? And that's what I want to do.
And was there any particular song, and was it electric guitar that you kind of gravitated towards first? And was there a particular song that was like, I need a guitar, I need to learn how to play this?
There's a song on the Neil Diamond Hot August Nights record that I can't remember which one it was. I think it's the first song. And he literally goes, Neil Diamond says to his guitar player, who is Rich, his name is Rich. He goes, take it, Rich. And to me, he was talking to me because my name was Rich. And I was like, what? Take it? And I heard the electric guitar, and the guitar was like really simple. It was like and it was so repetitive and so cool and so rhythmic and percussive that I just fell in love with that. And so my brothers continued to like barrage me with tons of bands when I was growing up. Like back in like third grade, I got into Kiss. And then around into seventh grade or somewhere around there, like my brother Robert came in and he goes, I can't tell you what he said, but he goes, forget about listening to Kiss. This is the Clash. From now on, you're punk.
Okay.
And it was like, what? And I heard London Calling.
Yeah, great album.
1980s, 1981, 82, whatever, around there. And so I was punk. And so I listened to a lot of Clash and then I got into I was listening to the Rolling Stones. I was listening to the Beatles, but more of the Rolling Stones. And then eventually I fell in love with U2. And and U2 in 1983 found U2. And then in 85, 86, I found Skinny Puppy in Ministry.
Okay, so that's an incredible musical journey. Consider them.
Yeah, and I got, because I was turned down by a record company in like 1987, um, because I sounded too much like you too. Like I was playing a lot of digital delay
Yeah.
guitar and that kind of the edge sounding guitar parts. And he had cornered the market at that point on that
Right.
guitar sound. And I got turned down by a record company. And my friend Trent Reznor was like, "Why don't you listen to some new shit? Like, I think it's
Mm.
time for you to broaden your horizons." And a friend of mine came over with "The Land of Rape and Honey" by Ministry. And it was just like, I'd never heard music like that before. It was so aggressive. It was so punk. It was so avant-garde, and it hit so hard over my head that I was just like, wow, I just can't believe it. And that's when Skinny Puppy really, I started listening to as much Skinny Puppy and Ministry as I could. And then, I was in my band, The Act, and it was just like a high school band that I was in.
Mm.
And a couple months later, Trent saw me and he's like, "What the hell's gotten into you?" And I knew he had gone away and did his own thing for a couple of like for a year. He set himself aside and said, "I'm just going to work on music and get my thing going." He goes, "I don't know what's gotten into you, but do you want to join my band? It's called 9 Inch Nails."
Mm.
And I was like, "Fucking A, okay. Sounds awesome." And he played me Head Like a Hole and Down in It and a bunch of stuff from Pretty Hate Machine, and I was just like blown away.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Because I'm wondering, so when you first started learning to play guitar, did you also was it in your back of your head that you were always going to do vocals, and you were thinking, I can sing and I'm going to
Well,
form a
I was
band and
in my high school band, like we had tried to audition singers that
yeah.
looked cool. We were like, if you look cool, you can do it. It's easy. You can sing. And sadly, that's not the truth. And so I remember playing guitar, and I would try and show the singers like how to sing, like how to use their full voices and sing. And then finally the parents of Dave Soleil were like, because we were in Dave Soleil's basement, and his parents would come down and go, "Rich, you have a good voice. Why don't you sing?"
Mm.
And I was like, "I can't sing. I'm a guitar player." And I was an okay guitar player. I'm not like the best guitar player on the planet. Like,
Mm.
but I knew like right around like 1986, 87, when I started playing music, that I wanted to be writing music. I wanted it to be like my own voice. And yeah, early beginnings in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm. I want to jump to the filter bit. We are going to come back and talk a little bit about the 9 Inch Nails period, but I want to talk a little bit about filter. Obviously,
Mhm.
I actually want to talk mostly about filter. In all honesty,
Okay, cool.
um, it was so my exposure to filter came from the Demon Knight soundtrack because I
Yep.
had the Hey Man Nice Shot. Loved that soundtrack, loved that song. And it was very interesting recently when talking to people in my kind of friend circle about their exposure to filter. It all of them came across the band through soundtracks.
Yeah.
Then when I started looking into it, the sheer number of soundtracks that filter appear on was quite astronomical when I started
We
thinking,
had a
like, okay,
great placement guy. We had a great
that's what I was
placement
going to
guy.
ask. How did this come about that filter just seemed to appear on so many different soundtracks?
It was our management and our label, and it was rife back then. It was
Hmm.
fucking it was ripe. It was rich. The soundtracks did well. Soundtracks made a lot of money. And so anytime we were asked, we were available. We knew how powerful it was to do it. And we were just absolutely available for soundtracks.
Hmm.
But Demon Knight was scary because Demon Knight, Hey Man, was like the 11th song on the soundtrack, and we were like, we didn't release it as a single,
Yeah.
but like a DJ in Colorado Springs started playing Hey Man, Nice Shot at like 2 in the morning and got insane reaction, and the song went viral in his little radio station. and Crazy Phones and everything else. And so the song became this big, huge hit. And we weren't even done with our first record. We weren't even done with Short Bus.
Okay.
And so we were panicking because we were like, the song's out there on the radio working. And we were like, oh my God, we're going to miss our window of selling, music. So it was pretty risky that we put Hey Man out so early, and that it was, like the single off of Demon Knight soundtrack that like broke.
It's such a great particular song, and it's one of the ones that a lot of bands know that particular song, but may not know any of the others from the band because they'll have heard it on soundtracks. And it was just such one of those songs that was radio played a lot around that period.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about when that came out. Filter came out in an era which wasn't necessarily an industrial music. Industrial music has never been that what we'd call mainstream as far as radio friendly. It was always taken over with things like the Scuzz music channel would play videos, etc. But you guys came out very much in the new metal era.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, sometimes Filter, that particular song, the Hey Man Nice Shot, would sometimes get the band pigeonholed if they didn't know anything about
to be honest with you, I don't know see, my thing was, how do we make Filter just its own thing? And like, I could have been industrial, but like, if you look at like the earlier like photographs of the band, like we were wearing like totally different clothes. We were not trying to be goth. We weren't trying to be lifestyle. We were trying to like invent a whole new kind of, thing, which is just Filter. So we were not trying to be industrial, even though we kind of came from that. And I used the technology. I used drum machines and I used samplers and stuff like that. And Short Bus was pretty much a drum machine, sampler record the whole way through. But by title, I was like, I think we're just modern rock.
Yeah.
I just was like, whatever modern rock is, that's what we are. And so I would, and with title of record, we expanded the sound by having a real drummer come in and play. Steve Gillis was playing on those records, and it was we were trying to be more of ourselves.
Because it was for me, it was quite interesting looking back over the Filter's kind of discography. And over so going all the way back over the years, you've continued to release new music every couple of years. But I don't think with the more recent releases, I don't know if you've achieved the same level. Now, obviously, a lot of that, I'm wondering if that is down to how much access people now have to music.
Yeah.
Or do you think that has a direct impact on?
You mean why we went platinum in the 90s and we're not platinum now?
Exactly.
It's the industry.
The challenge of availability, because even though we're a small channel, we get bombarded with so much music every day that we can't absorb it.
There's no curator. There's no curator anymore. Radio isn't the what it used to be. Radio is like, if you get played on radio, you might have some success. It wasn't like that in the 90s. If you were played on the radio, you sold records and you went platinum. Done.
Yeah.
Like if you had a hit on radio in 1995, you were platinum. Done. Done. And
is it so much harder now for a band like yourselves, with the fact that previously you would record an album, you'd plan your tour, you'd have your PR company, but now with the amount of self-releases that bands are doing, everyone's social media, you've got to have at least 7 different social media sites going at the same time. You've got to do TikTok videos. You've got to do.
You've got to make content for TikTok. It's insane to be in a band these days, and it's so wrong. It's so absolutely wrong. And I mean, I'm making like Instagram reels, and I'm doing stuff like that when I'm bored at the studio. But like that's what's the only thing that's plowing through. Like I mean. Spotify, I know we've been added on playlists and stuff for this new record, but like it's basically like who's running your social media, who's running that. That's kind of what's going on with music. It's weird.
It's very strange.
It's weird. It's strange. I don't like, I definitely don't like it, because back in the day, you just get on the radio and things would happen magically. You know, there was, I mean, you know, I could sit here and tell you about how great tour support was. And, you know, just the record company would give you $100,000 to go on the road. You know, $100,000 just to, so you don't have to be in a van anymore. You could be in a, you know, you could take a bus and like start off in clubs and, you know, and work your way up. And it's just, those days are gone. It's over.
Because back in 2000, when there was the Lars and Napster issue, when he was obviously going on, you were quoted as sort of talking about how the fact that absolutely this people was doing file sharing was going to kill the record industry, and now it's 2023 with Spotify, and you make a fraction of a cent or a fraction of a penny for a
we've lost everything. We've lost everything.
And do you see any way of ever that going back on?
I mean, it's basically touring and merch is what we make money on. That's what it's down to, touring and merch.
Because we've now seen a real big change as far as there's a lot more highlighting about the amount that venues take for merch cuts now. Mm-hmm. This is something that was never really discussed in public, because bands didn't really worry about that because you were getting money from other avenues. But now we're seeing bands, their only way that you're making money is literally on the road, and you're giving 28% of your merch cuts straight to the venue, which is usually more than the band's going to make on the actual night.
It's a fucking nightmare. It's like I've kind of gotten to the point where I just am like, I make records because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I make records. You know, I hope people listen to them. I'm going to play them at my concerts. But I don't expect anything. I don't expect like, oh, you're going to go fucking platinum again. Those days are just gone.
Because I'm wondering if record labels even make money from Spotify, etc., and how that works. Because we've talked about it on the channel a few times that if all the artists and all the record labels just went, you know what, we're not going to put stuff on streaming anymore, then the streaming platforms.
Well, they sold it out years ago. The record companies were like, here's our catalog, pay us a big, huge amount of money first, and then we'll get it to the bands when they ask for it.
Okay.
So like, you know, all that music heads made tons of money when they made these deals with Spotify to have the catalogs originally. So Spotify paid, you know, $17 million to Warner Brothers for its catalog, and then, you know, and they took it and paid themselves. You know, I'm not saying that's what Warner Brothers did. I'm just using it as a hypothetical. But yeah, it's fucking gone. It's over.
I mean, is there any way, I guess for yourself, how difficult is it for someone to be a professional musician in this day and age?
I made the last record for $20,000.
Right.
I made Amalgamut for $350,000. People bought houses.
Yeah.
Because they worked so hard on a record, and they bought houses, and we'd sell 1 million records. So you'd pay it back. You'd make it back.
But now,
so the algorithm cost me like $20,000.
And do you think
I don't even know if I've been reimbursed from the label or whatever. Like, I don't even know if I've been reimbursed. So, like, I don't even know.
Because that was one of my other questions, was around it in this day and age where bands are doing self-releases. You can pretty much approach your own PR companies. You can book your own tours. Is there a benefit for people to go down the record label route anymore?
I don't know. I'm the jury's out on where I'm at with my label. The jury's kind of out right now. I've been signed to 10 labels or something, a handful of labels. And I know what it's like when a label wants you to be big and wants to, you know, make your life amazing. and work your record. And you know, Golden Robots, you know, fighting with everybody else on how to make a living on this, and it's tough, you know. And you don't have sure things, you know. You don't have, if you get on radio, you'll sell 1 million records. It's not gonna, that's not happening anymore. Radio is not as effective as it used to be. So it's like, well, what are we, a TikTok account? Do I literally have to like hire a TikTok person and invest, you know, 10 grand in doing TikTok videos, and, you know, like starting this whole thing? And I have a TikTok account, and I just don't get it. I don't see what the point is.
No.
You know, I release stuff on it, but like, you know, it's the same as reels on Instagram or you know, stories or whatever on Facebook, but it's literally like, it's all about posting shit. It's all about posting content.
Because we saw it here in the UK. It must have been last month, I believe it was. The UK band Skindred. They had a song called Nobody, and they didn't do anything. It was actually just someone did a dance to this song on TikTok, and did a kind of reggae dance to this song Nobody, and then a load of other people did it. And they became, at the midweek charts, they were #1 on the UK charts for a song that came out 15 years ago. They did nothing about it, and it was because of TikTok that everyone heard that song on it, and everyone was doing the dance. Everyone started streaming it.
So if I have a song that goes viral because someone does something stupid on TikTok, or something interesting on, let's give them benefit of the doubt, something interesting on TikTok, that's how I'm gonna make it. Like,
that's how you're gonna make it as a musician now.
That's how we're making it now. It's not like, you know what I mean? The strength of my music permeates through everything, and, you know, and goes through the walls of, you know, all these social media accounts, and shows up, and people get it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I find the whole thing kind of bizarre. You know, I know for a fact that, like, people are hearing my new record, and I know for a fact that they like it. I know for a fact that we have gotten insane reviews on the record. We've not gotten one bad review on this record.
That's good.
And you know, if I sign a copy of the vinyl, people will buy that, and so I sign a copy of the vinyl, and I sell it for like $75 or $80 because I took the time to do it and make the vinyl itself, and make this beautiful music. I'm super proud of my records, you know. So, you know, I mean,
because it's interesting to hear that we've got vinyl has cut such a resurgence. It's actually stronger sales than it's probably ever had since before, I guess, unless before CDs came out.
But even CDs sound good to me. CDs sound amazing to me.
Yeah.
I keep throwing a CD player, like, you know, like, and, you know, CDs is kind of a dead thing, but like, still, I can sign those CDs and sell those, and everybody's happy, because there's a lot of completionists and collectors that want to complete every, you know, they have everything signed. And I mean, some of these people come to my concerts, you know, and they have like everything they have, like, I need everything signed. And like, it's those people, it's those huge fans that like make the world go round, because they're the ones that are willing to take the time to look up on the internet, like, okay, wait, I want to get this signed vinyl. Oh, it's right here. I'm going to do it. It's at the band's website. Great. I'm going to do it. You know, that's what we just did with the Amalgamate. I signed, you know, 500 copies of it, and now it's available. And then we're going to do that again with another Filter release that is coming of age, coming up on another release that we're going to do it for, which isn't announced, so I can't say what it is, but it's just, it's bizarre. And then you go on tour and you sell merch, and you do VIP things. You know, that's something new that's happened.
The press, the meet and greets, isn't it?
The meet and greets is a brand new kind of thing, and you do that, and you make a little extra cash on that. It's like you have to find all these new ways to make money in the music industry that's not based on just playing a concert
Yeah. Because thinking about it now,
or selling a record. Because I mean, Spotify has spot. We've been played. The algorithm has been played millions of times on Spotify.
yeah,
And like, like I have no idea what kind of money I'm going to see. I don't think it's a lot,
it's depending on how many millions, it's a few grand. It's but it's
I
the
mean,
problem is when you look at it that I mean I was
dude, like this piece of technology
yeah
is like $1,000. You know what I mean?
yeah
Like this is like a 300,000 or $300 thing. Like imagine how much shit I have in my studio that I bought
yeah.
over the years. $1,000 from
So
streaming a million times is not going to pay the
no,
bills.
so we did the maths on it. It was worked out. I think if it's around, I think it's if you were to have really simple. We did a real simple one, like an 8-track album. Well, no, I think we did a 10-track album, and you sold 1,000. If you sold 1,000 CDs, you would make at £10 a CD or $10 a CD. You'd make a certain amount of money. But if you did that same amount as a streaming, you'd make $15. So you go from £10,000 to $15 on streaming, and that's the difference in the spectrum. And with my band, we talked about it, and I said that I'm going to only put we'll put the singles on the streaming, but the album will be only available via physical. So I was like, because why? Why give everything away?
Yeah.
If they really are fans of the band, let them go on Bandcamp and let them buy the album, because actually, one album sale is more than 2,000 streams. So what's the point of focusing on a stream somewhere on the other platform? And it's just one of those
because
ones nowadays.
the thing is someone's going to release it when they get the record. They're going to put it on YouTube, or they're going to put it on.
It'll go on there.
They're going to make an MP3 out of it, and they're going to beat you to it.
It'll be the new Napster. Someone else will put it on. Yeah, they'll post it.
It'll go up on Spotify as like your band's name plus an asterisk or something, and there you go.
There's your song on there. Yeah, unfortunately. I'm curious about recording nowadays, because we see, even with myself, we set up our PCs. You've got whatever your Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase 12, which is what I'm using. And you can put so many different plugins, etc. But back in the day, back when we were doing things like with like Pretty Hate Machine and 9 Inch Nails early filter, the technology would not be the same as what you have available now. Do you think it's easier now with the sheer number of stuff that you can just throw on a computer and plug it all in and drag and drop stuff, or with the more tactile of the earlier stage?
I remember it was like I did a lot of work on an 8-track. So I had an 8-track that slaved to a drum machine. There was a SMPTE track that played, a sampler. And we'd program that, and that would be MIDI, and that would be playing, via the computer. And then we'd have 7 analog tracks to work with. And so I would sing on the first track, and then I'd have 2 guitars, and then I'd have bass, and then I'd have stereo something, some kind of mischievous weirdness going on. And it was, the reason why the song Under has all those breaks in it is because I was recording by myself, and I had to use a foot pedal to start and stop the tape machine.
Right, okay.
So it went dun 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 dun, and like after the first chorus, there's that big break.
Yeah.
It's because my hand got tired, and I was like, and like I stopped, and I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna punch in right there. I'm just gonna have that break, and so it was literally created because my hand got tired, and I couldn't find a spot to like punch into. And so I created a little break there just out of frustration. But that's the beauty of like, you make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, you make whatever scenario you have work. And now it's so easy to be creative that it's like, I love it. Like so much of my record was made by me just sitting in here with this equipment, just laughing and having a blast by myself, and like going like, I can't believe this is so easy. Like, because for a long time I used uh engineers, and I would have people work the equipment while while I sat on a couch and played guitar and did some stuff like that. And now this last 6 years for this record, I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy my own computer. I'm gonna get a, I mean, I bought thousands of computers, but like I'm gonna buy a brand new computer. I'm gonna get Logic Pro X. I'm gonna get a sample. I'm gonna get samplers. I'm gonna get you know, some keyboards, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do everything as much by myself as I possibly could. Now, I didn't do the entire record by myself. There was a lot of help. I had a lot of great friends work with me, like Sam Tenez, Ian Scott, Mark Jackson, Seth Mosley, Zach Monowitz. I had a lot of people that worked with me, but I was pretty much in control of the whole thing from my computer, and I could work on vocals and just be by myself and not have some producer sitting there going, no, go back and do it again, like, no, like, because a lot of everything I did was like first or second take, and it felt raw and natural and spontaneous, and that's what I like in music. And so I had a blast. I probably spent too much money on this studio that I have, but I used 1/10 of it to make the last Filter record, and I intend to put out another record really quickly, within the next couple of years, just because it's so much fun to sit here and to create new music. And creatively, I feel like I'm really in a good spot. So I just, I put records out for myself, and I don't expect anything. I don't expect them to do anything or go platinum or any of that kind of bullshit. I just put them out for my fans, the 10 or 20,000 fans that are like glued to whatever I do on Facebook and Instagram and follow me and can get it through the grapevine that there's a new Filter record out there. I'm going to check it out.
Because when you're creating sort of a new material, you've just put obviously the last album and you're thinking about the next one already. Do you already have an idea of subject matter, content of what you want to portray, or is it just literally press record, see what comes out, and sort it
press
all
record,
out
see what comes out. press record, see what comes out. Enjoy it, see what happens. And just write from the same perspective as always, just being close to something and illuminating everybody on it.
Because you've now got, I believe it's 7 albums with Filter, if my maths is correct. I think it's 7.
I think it's 8.
It's 8. Or is it 8? Sorry. Okay, I've got 7 albums then, so there must be one that I don't have that I've got to go find out then.
Yeah,
I haven't got at the moment. But here's a question for you. So then, if you're going out, because you went out on the recent tour with, was it Ministry, Zombie, Alice Cooper? Was that the last tour that you've just been out on?
I'm sorry, I was looking up how many albums we have.
Okay. I'm sure I'll have to go back through now and pull mine out and just see exactly which ones I've got and which one if there is one I'm missing. But
The Algorithm, 1, Amalgamate, Crazy Eyes, Trouble with Angels, Sun Comes Out Tonight, Anthems for the Damned, that's 6.
Yeah.
Title of Record and Short Bus.
Okay.
7 and 8.
So I've definitely missed one. So I have to go double check which one it is I've missed then. But with that many, with 8 albums worth of material, how do you even approach putting together a set list?
It's brutal.
Because what do you
came up with the set list? We came up with the set list to play for this hitcore thing.
Yeah.
If your fans want to check us out live, we did this TV show called Hitcore, and we played for 2 hours, and we played like so much of what we do, and it's impossible because there's so many songs that we love to play live. So it's literally like like we're gonna probably play for about an hour and a half in Europe when we come out there, and it's just gonna be at least one song from every record, and then like a lot of the stuff that people are familiar with, like all the big hits, and
Yeah.
then some of our favorites. But like the algorithm is gonna show up. Like people should check out the algorithm because we're gonna play a lot of the algorithm on tour in Europe when we get there.
Because I'm curious, do you ever get to the point where there are songs like, for instance, Hey Man, Nice Shot, that you kind of go, do you know what, we've been playing this for so long? Do you get kind of a
Oh,
bit sick of it on tour playing it?
no way. Nope. No way. Hey Man, Nice Shot is one of the most visceral, wonderful experiences of the night for sure, and I'm never gonna get sick of it.
That answers my next question, which was
I
gonna be,
do
do
I
you
do.
ever
There are songs that I've gotten sick of, like the best things.
right?
You know the best things, and like I've literally kind of like I'm kind of finished with that one for a little while. Like I'm a little tired of that one.
Because I mean, I suppose that a lot of bands will get asked this. Metallica, I'm sure, get asked this about Enter Sandman. But do you ever see that a point where something like "Hey Man, Nice Shot" or "Take the Picture" and not included in the set? Would you ever play a set that they're not played?
No, and I'll even go this far. The song "Take a Picture."
Yeah.
We played last year around this time in December. We played Heaven and Hell Fest in Mexico City, and it's a heavy metal like festival. Like
Yeah.
it's purely heavy metal. So I'm like, why would we play Take a Picture?
Mm.
Like, why would we play Take a Picture? And so I just immediately we're not playing Take a Picture. Fuck that. Like it's Pantera's going on like 10 minutes after we are. Like, you know, I'm not
Yeah.
playing Take a Picture in front of Phil. You know what I mean? And much to my surprise, my manager was like, dude, it's like a huge fucking song. Like, what are you doing not playing Take a Picture? And I was like, reluctantly, I was like, okay, I'll play Take a Picture. We'll play Take a Picture. Fuck it. No big deal. Well, we played Take a Picture, and the entire audience sang it back to us louder than it was coming from the stage. They were like, could you take my picture? Because I won't remember. Like, it was amazing.
How does that feel when you have an audience like that, where it's just the sheer emotion of the audience coming?
That's the rock and roll dream.
Yeah.
Like that's the rock and roll dream. Like we do this thing where we cut the first, like the second chorus in Hey Man, we stop playing and we have the audience sing Hey Man, Nice Shot. And like it's just like, you know, like we do that audience participation thing, you know, with them, and it's amazing. It's brilliant, you know. It's like it's the fucking funnest moment ever, you know.
Because so earlier on, when we started off the interview, you were talking about you obviously learning or getting into music early. You mentioned your brother Robert. Which, if anyone doesn't know who Robert Patrick is, I'm just going to say it's easiest way to remember it is Terminator 2.
Liquid Metal Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is probably your most recognizable. For me, Stargate Atlantis is another thing that he was in that I loved. But I have a question. So with him going off down the acting route, did you ever consider at any point kind of going off and doing acting as well? And
yeah, there was talk. There was talk. My brother said you'd be a great actor, but there was this one opportunity that I kind of didn't do, and I was going to be on an X-Files as the devil.
Okay.
And I was this is back when I was drinking. And I couldn't really do it. I was too strung out and too hungover, and I was too much of a mess to be able to like dive into acting. And it's a big regret that I have, because Chris Carter and all those guys were like, Richard, you're a natural. You just got to do it. You just got to go out here and act. And I I I I let my fear and insecurity stop me from doing something that I probably could have achieved something at. And yeah, it's one of those regrets from my drinking days.
Because you've now, how many years have you now been gone
Sober?
sobriety? Yeah,
21 years.
I'm at 5 years, so I've still got a little way to catch up at the moment.
No, five is huge.
Years.
5 is huge.
5 was this year, so it's
Yeah.
really interesting having been in bands myself. Probably last time I'm in a band again now, but I was 10 years ago, and I can't remember half the gigs I played on drums. There are several shows that people told me I was playing completely wrong songs, and a lot of issues that I had where I used to love being the first band on a bill, because it meant that I wasn't so drunk if we were headlining a show that I was in a really bad place, because I couldn't manage my intake. I was turn up for sound check, start knocking them back, and I'm off for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Now, obviously being in a band, we talk about the rock and roll lifestyle, and a lot of the younger guys in bands, that will still be in their head, that it's the party, it's the drinking.
Yeah.
But I also know that coming off stage, you're on such an endorphin high that the drinking was also a way of bringing yourself back down. So as someone who's got obviously sober like myself, how do you bring yourself down after a show? How do you manage those endorphins after those?
You gotta just ride it out. You gotta just ride it out, and you kind of walk around, and you're in a haze. You're in a not a haze. You're in an elevated state of readiness. You're happy. But like you can get a little overwhelmed by stuff. After you play a show and you realize you can't have a drink. Something me and my bass player do, because he's in the same club as me. We drink like monsters, and we hang out with the other band. We watch the other bands live. Yeah. That's kind of our little fuck you to the whole thing. Like, I'll have a Diet Coke, and I'll have a Monster, and like stay up late, and look at me, and like hang out with the band afterwards and stuff like that. Like, it was fun. Like, you get off stage and you hang out with Rob Zombie, you know what I mean? And talk about like bullshit, like, just talk about like politics or something, like, same with like Al Jorgensen from Ministry. Al would definitely have a couple of cocktails, and we would live vicariously through him, and he would get wound up and have fun and play the new Ministry record. But one of the best experiences of my life was Al ushered me onto the Ministry bus somewhere in the middle of that tour, and on Freaks on Parade tour, and he goes, "This is the new Ministry record," and he sat next to me and played the new Ministry record, and I heard the whole thing, and he played each song right down the
nice
order, and it was amazing. You know what I mean? And I'm just, my 17-year-old self was just like, "Can you fucking believe that?" So yeah, a lot of good memories on that tour.
And being sober, you can actually remember the tour, so that's always a good sign.
No, and it's weird because I'm aging. I'm 55. I got gray hair. I'm a little heavier. You know what I mean? Like the audience is not. They don't seem to care. They're like, "Go ahead, get old. Who cares?" But singing in sobriety, like being sober and singing, is so fucking fun and easy. It's really fun and it's really easy. So like, I'm really enjoying the music a lot. Like I'm not just up there singing the lyrics and trying to get through it. I'm literally pouring myself into the music. I'm making musical discoveries every night. Something fun will happen and I'll remember it for the next night. And I'm really enjoying my life right now. And so sobriety, once you get past like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, like it really is just like you're sober. Like you're just like I made the mental connection. I cannot drink.
Yeah.
I cannot drink like normal people. My wife can crack open a bottle of wine, have one glass, and like throw half of it away, and like put the wine back in the freezer or the fridge or whatever, and like that's her. Like she has like a little half glass of wine every 6 months. Not me. If I have one drink, I know exactly where I'm going to be in 2 weeks. I'll be back on cocaine. I'll be doing everything I could possibly imagine because I have no off switch.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's yeah.
I have the last couple of questions I do have. So I read about that you were writing a column called "Filtering the Truth." I don't know what that was about, but it was something on a Wikipedia which I'd never heard about. So I was just then considering. It just got me thinking the question of: have you ever considered writing a book?
No.
Not with all your stories.
I can't remember half of it. Like it was so
big
awesome.
Gap in the middle.
Like I think I'd like to interview like a bunch of my friends and get their journals from it, because I think it would help for me to retain my memory of the whole situation. But there was so much craziness back in the 90s that or the 2000s, you know what I mean? Like from 2004 to like now, I can remember pretty much everything. But even then, it's been pretty. I don't know if it's been remarkable. You know what I mean? Like I put out, and then in 2014, I put out "The Sun Comes Out Tonight," and it came out, and everybody liked it, and you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like like 1991 when my brother Robert was in Terminator 2 and I was on Lollapalooza. Like that was mind blowing. Like for a 20-year-old kid, that was huge. That was gigantic. I mean, I could write about that period, but these last 10, it's been kind of like, I do movie scores. I'll do a movie
Life
score
in the industry.
Just kind of boring. Like not really crazy. Uneventful.
I'm sure it would still be interesting. For some of us, it would be definitely.
Yeah. There's some stuff I could probably shed light on, but who knows?
If you have the time.
I think a documentary would be better. I think Dan Catula has a bunch of documentary ideas about our band. I think it'd be cool.
That'd be cool. So last question. What's next for Filter? And for yourself, of course.
Filter is going to go on tour in Europe in April, or when is that? That's March. We're going on tour in March. And then we go on tour in April. We're going to Australia. Okay. And then we're going to be playing concerts all throughout the United States again for 2024.
Excellent.
All throughout the United States. And we will also be working on new music always.
Well, we always want new music.
It's going to be new music. I've already written a new song and everyone loves it. My bandmates are into it.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's fun.
Well, all I can really now say is just a massive thank you for spending the last sort of 50 odd minutes with me chatting about yourself.
How do I get one of those YouTube plaques? What did you do? Yeah.
100,000 subscribers.
So I'm at like
90,000. Yeah, so you shouldn't be far off then. It doesn't usually, when you get past that, it then takes about 6 weeks or something like that after you hit past the 100,000 for them to actually send it to you. But unfortunately,
I got.
That's not for this channel. Unfortunately, it's for one of my other channels. But
well, cool, brother.
So I'm happy with that one. But hopefully, this channel will get there one of these days. It's we're working very hard on this channel for the last year, so
Yeah.
we're getting there. But yeah, I just want to say, look, a huge thank you for doing it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And just everyone, obviously, go check out Filter when they come over to the, well, for us in the UK. If you're watching it in the UK, definitely come and check you out when,
Yeah.
and I will definitely come to the show as well.
Because you don't know whether or not I'm going to live past another couple years. You just don't know.
No one does anymore.
You know what I'm saying? Come and see Filter before I'm dead.
And on that bombshell,
how's that?
on that bombshell, I just want to say a big thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, and I really appreciate your attention. Rock on, keep on, and keep on sober.